Hello, hello. Welcome to today's Zoom. So glad you guys are here. It's always a nice small group, and so much is happening that currently in our community that is so important for adolescents and young adults. So I am really, really, really glad that all of you are here. So I am going to start while we wait for people to sign on by putting out a poll just so I see the age groups that are here today. So if you see the poll, go in there and tell me how old are your children, so that I can have a little bit of information on what is and who is on the call. So this is great. So some of you have two sets of kiddos, so that's cool. And let me keep letting people in. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Usually when I do these talks live, I think I always repeat myself, but I think it's important. I do the Miami 10, but Miami on the Zoom is the Miami 5. So in this beginning, I can allow some 5 minutes before I start, and like I've done it before, for those of you that are return listeners and question askers, I will start off by sharing pain points that I imagine are happening in your homes, and please make sure to answer the poll as soon as you see it, so that I have an idea of the age groups that are here right now. So why do I do the pain points? First, because I want you to feel normal, and I want you to know that some of the things that are happening in your home, it's really just development. It's really just the human experience. So often as parents, you feel the pain and you feel the discomfort of thinking that something's wrong with your child, because none of my colleagues are telling you nothing's wrong with your child. All adolescents continually talk back, and developmentally is not talking back. Developmentally is that their brain is asking them to debate with you, to question, to wonder, to learn how to do this back and forth. All right, so we almost have a minute left, and let me look at the polls so far. In our poll, most of you, 75% of you, have kids between the ages of 15 and 18, and one of you has a young adult. So one of you has a person in college. Woo woo, I like that a lot. So college is a whole other ball of wax. One of my favorite talks that I do is the empty nest. Carrollton always invites me, which I love it when they do that, because they're smart and they're helping parents understand what it's like to lose your child to college, because it does feel like a loss. Let's just call it what it is. It feels like a loss when they go to college. So, okay, we're 5 minutes in. I'm going to end the poll, and the winners of today's age group is 15 to 18, of course, because that's what this is all about. Okay, so let me share my screen so we could look at my little slide that will help me kind of think about the pain points for us. And let's do all the electronic stuff. I'm getting better and better at this. So here we go. Okie dokie. So first and foremost, in a mixture of summer and routine, right? So when you think about these older guys, their routine should be similar every day. But please, those of you that have teens in your home that are 15 and older, allow them to figure out what it is that they're going to do. What I want you to tell them is your expectation, right? The big deal about this age group, and it goes back here into when are you letting go, right? It's a constant back and forth between holding on and letting go, right? So I don't want you to be on top of them about Did you work out today? Did you do da 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 da? Did you do? Just imagine if you were at work and you had a micromanaging manager. Would you get any work done? Would you just start resenting the manager? Um, that's how I want you to see yourself, right? So a good executive, a good boss, a good manager will give you their expectation, right? So think in the morning, go in and open the door and be like, hey, today I expect you to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So Lina, what if they don't do it? In this age group, in the 15 and 18-year-old, the conversation is about curiosity. Hey, I'm really disappointed that today I asked you to, empty out the dishwasher and help me out with the laundry, but you weren't able to do that. So what's going on for you? How can we make that happen? Because there are some responsibilities in the house. And by the way, if your child is not doing laundry or emptying out a dishwasher, or at least making them themselves breakfast at least 3 out of 7 days, you may want to get on that if they're over 15, because those are basic life skills that we take for granted. And those of you of the Latino persuasion, I know, especially the boys, because you end up convincing yourself gender-wise that there's going to be another lady that's going to help them cook and clean. Do that other lady in the future, do their partner in the future service and teach them how to cook. So anyway, as it pertains to routine, allow them to make it up for themselves. Give them your expectations of how you expect them to be healthy, and then let it go. But again, be curious and go back. So in the summer, here's the thing. A lot of them are going to be using the screen a lot, just like you are, right? So you can set the expectation, and here are safe expectations for adolescents as it pertains to the screen. Nobody in any age group should play more than 3 hours of a video game. All the video game information out there, and research that we've done thus far, including the video game companies, state that at 3 hours, all of the cognitive benefits that a video game gives a human being, all the executive function skill benefits that a video game gives a human being, begins to decrease. Like it doesn't stay stagnant, it decreases, right? So one of your expectations is, look, if you're going to play video games, 3 hours, buddy, how are you going to manage that? Now, your goal cannot be that they're happy with you about setting this rule. And, if I ever wrote a parenting book, it would be called #SuckItUp, because a lot of the time parenting is difficult because we are not willing to tolerate some of the feelings that our children express to us, right? And most of the time, if you're doing a good job at parenting, 45% of the time, your child doesn't like you and your idea and your boundary. And that's in all age groups, but in particular in this age group. So you set the boundary, you set the expectation, and whether they're happy with you about it or agree with you about it or not, that's where all of you will make or break, right? And hear it in your head, #SuckItUp. You know that term comes from the air pilots in the Second War, because when they get sick, the only way to survive, and they get sick inside of their piece, they have to suck it up to survive. So it's a term that comes from choosing from the lesser bad, right? So that's the part that all of you guys, if you could ask me a question, it's like, how do I give a boundary and how do I set expectations to my child without them being angry at me? And ladies, if I had the way to do that, I would be a millionaire. And that's why it's 585, the 585 reason why it's so difficult to be a parent, because half the time you just have to suck it up and be okay and tolerate their anger, their frustration, and their disappointment with you. Okay, so the other pain point that all of you guys have right now is opening up to the world. safely. And what I want all of you to do today with yourself, with the other person that you parent with, is to think and figure out, where are you in the spectrum of risk aversion? Are you a 10 where you want to stay in the bubble, you don't want to change anything, you like staying home, and you're doing status quo and you're doing the Instacart and doing all your meals at home? Or are you a 1 where from the very beginning you were like, I'm okay, I'm going to get on my boat and go to the sandbar, it's not that big a deal, I'm outside? Figure out whether you are a 10, a 1, a 4, an 8, or a 6. That way, you can make decisions for when your adolescent says to you, true story, this happened to me with my 15-year-old, oh, my friend is leaving for New York tomorrow and I'm not gonna see them until like we get back to school. Please, 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 can we do 6 feet apart and masks on outside? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I am in my risk spectrum an 8 in risk aversion, right? And I had to be ready to answer that question, right? And I had to come from a place of like, this is the decision that me and your father have made based on our risk aversion. And again, I have to tolerate her disappointment, frustration. If you want to know my answer, I said yes, outside, carport, 1 hour, masks on. That's me. But that's risk aversion, right? That's me. It's okay. Where are you in this spectrum? But Lina, how do I figure out where I am in this spectrum? Okay, well, let's talk about a pain point that's yours. And the masterclass that all of us in this global pandemic are learning. We have a masterclass in this global pandemic in managing and handling uncertainty. Right? So uncertainty can only be managed and handled in 2 ways: by obtaining as many facts as possible on whatever decision you are making that has a bit of uncertainty in the future, and 2, by creating a system that belongs to you, right? Or to a business, or to a government, or to a global community, right? A system of, based on the facts and the facts that we have today, right? You can create a system. And again, Lina, what did you do with your teens? My husband and I decided to kind of stay almost status quo until July, right? And we're not going to change our minds until July. That's our system, month to month. We one more time check the facts and set up a system about what we are doing. And that's my system. And my adolescents know mom is not going to change her mind for 30 days. That's a system. So facts and a system that is predictable to all of those that are involved. Let's think about, Mayor Jimenez, right? He gave us a system. He told us, this is what you can do in marinas. This is what you can do in restaurants. That is an example of a system where all of us may or may not like it, but now we have a set of rules. Is it right or wrong? It doesn't matter. It's up to you, because you are the head of your home. You are the parent. And again, hashtag suck it up, because you're going to set up a system and your kid is going to be frustrated, disappointed, and sad with you. And they will debate till the cows come home. So once you set up the system and you predict for them, then you can say, hey, that's the system for the next 30 days. And then if they're upset, that's the hard part, right? But when you're making up your system, be mindful of your adolescent and what they need. So let's talk about, it's not here in the pain points, right? So what does an adolescent need? Well, it's actually here: independence, space, social. Independence to make most of their decisions about their day-to-day, and space, right? And the one thing that this time that we are spending more at home, that all of your teenagers lost, starting from 12 years old, because I know that some of you on this Zoom today have a 12-year-old or a 12-year-old to young adult. They lost the ability to go to school, to make decisions at school. There's decisions that your kids make at school that have nothing to do with us, right? With us as adults, and to be social. And if you think about the hours when they're at school, a lot of them are at school between 8 and 3. That is a big chunk of time that your kids are like, whoop, it's gone, right? So be mindful that if they're on FaceTime or chatting on their Snapchat or on the Instagram or now the TikTok, they're chatting there too. That is replacing for them right now in the times that we're in, that time that they did it at school. Yes, they go to school to learn, but that's not the only thing they do there. They have lunch, they walk the halls in between, they banter with one another, and our adolescents lost that. So they need independence to make choices, they need space to be away from you, the authority figure, and they need to be social. So when you think about opening safely into the world, hold these 3 things in mind based on your spectrum of risk aversion, and check the facts and set up a system. My recommendation in this time of uncertainty, 2 weeks, 30 days is a good kind of time to revisit your ideas and revisit what you're going to do. And by the way, consequences, 2 weeks. A month, you're crazy. That's too long. So, when you tell them you can't go to the party or you can't use this or la la la, for children under 12, it's like 24 hours. For 12 and over, a week to 2 weeks. Some of you guys are like, for the rest of the 9 weeks, you're not gonna blah, 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 blah when they get in trouble at school. And what that creates is a case of the F it, so your kid is gonna be like, F it. I'm gonna, lie to my mom or sneak out because I got 9 weeks of this BS, so I might as well just do it. So be mindful on how long you keep your adolescent in trouble. And finally, let's talk about the topic at hand, right? We are currently in the midst of civil unrest and civil uprising, and our community is in messy and on fire. And as a mental health professional, I know that this is the way through change, just like birth, right? Do you remember giving birth to your baby, whether it was a cesarean or whether you pushed that little sucker out of you? It was not clean and beautiful. It was messy. And as a mental health professional, when I look at the macro and when I look at what is happening right now in our community and our society, we are smack in the middle of a huge shift and a huge change. So, Lina, how do I talk about race with my children? If they're 12 and older, if they're 15 and older, if they're 18 and older, you just talk to them like you and I are talking about it. You would tell them your beliefs. You tell them what you think. You tell them what you feel, what you're worried about, and what you hope for. And then when you're done doing that, you look at your teen and you say, what do you think? What are your thoughts? And be curious. What an amazing opportunity for the theme of race to be an opportunity to speak about empathy, to speak about our civil responsibilities of voting or being of service, of learning, right? For those of you, we all have implicit biases, and we are all, I'm going to say it. You ready? You're ready for me we are all racist. All of us. And the big, huge number one reason is because neurologically, our brain, don't forget, the number one goal of our neurology is to survive and stay alive. And our brain looks for safety in in a way to keep us alive. And one way that our brain keeps us safe is by looking for people that are like us. If there's anything different than us, our brain questions it. So to not have implicit biases and to not be racist, you have to get out of the neutral position of your brain. Your brain looks for like-minded people. Your brain looks for your tribe to keep you safe, right? Because if it's something that you don't know and you don't understand and you don't know anything about, your brain is like, caution, 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 which by definition is being racist, right? So be mindful that it's okay, it's human to have this default mode, but to change that implicit bias, to change those little bits of racism, you have to get out of the neutral of the brain and get curious. So Google, I always say, check the Google with your teen and read up on implicit bias. So again, there's so many amazing themes that you can talk to with your kid, and let them speak about this. So don't shy away from it. Speak about it anytime. You can use popular culture to speak to your adolescent, 12 plus, 15 plus, 18 plus, especially your college kid. Use it, because it's a way to speak to them without saying, but what do you feel? But what are you thinking? Right? We can pick a topic and then they will talk to us and, just say, hey, we used to go to Cheesecake Factory on Friday, so now we're gonna have a meal at home and now we're all gonna sit together, or go to the Cheesecake Factory, because for some of you, you are not risk adverse like me. Oh, I love this question. What do you recommend for handling a child that is not participating in the family discourse at all? It's okay if they don't speak. When they're sitting and listening, that's part of the participation. That's also part of letting go and freedom to choose. So they don't have to speak, but they stay at the dinner table when everybody else is discussing. Know that they're not sitting there like not listening. They have ears. They're listening to the discussion. It stays with them. For some of them, they keep it close at heart. We have all the age groups. Since the 17-year-old is not sharing at all, but we don't want to push either. Yeah, no need to push for them to share out loud, but do speak about it, right? Do speak about it. But again, all the age groups, that's a big house, but do speak about it. Okay, so I got ahead of myself. So I love your question, but now this is the fun part of our Zoom. Now I will unmute you and then you're going to tell me your question. And if you don't have a question, that's okay too. You could just say, Lina, I don't have a question, but I love you, because I love yous. So if you give me I love yous, I love that too. All right, so here we go. Let's start with you, Miss Cosette, because you asked me the question and maybe you have an opportunity to ask me more directly instead of the chat, unless I answered it. So I'm going to unmute you.
Hello. I think you answered it. That's been our main topic the last few days, as you can imagine.
Of course.
Yeah, with having a 19-year-old, 17, 8, and 5.5, we are trying to accommodate everyone's stage, but we do want to encourage the conversation, and we just felt like one was not sharing at all, but we don't want to push. We want to be respectful of that boundary,
yes.
Especially if they are listening. That's what I've been sharing mostly. This is a time to turn inward and see where, what are we bringing to the table. If quarantine and COVID and now this has taught us, as has taught me and at least us anything, is that, it's a time to turn inward and see what we are bringing to our people, our society, our groups,
yes.
What our involvement in the social world. But it's a lot of the social and cultural programming that, we've been trying to undo with our kids, because certainly our parents were very different with us, but we want to make sure they're hearing and that they're participating in a positive way. So when they're seemingly on mute, we want to be encouraging but not pushy.
Correct. And when one of your kids is less communicative and less verbal, ask yourself, is that their personality, right? Like,
Right.
some of us are observant and quiet and think. So everyone trust, and yes, Cosette, you're handling it perfectly, and respect that they're not speaking, but do speak and do know that they're listening. Don't ever not say something to an adolescent, even if they stay quiet. Listen, when I have had adolescents in my therapy room, they'll be like, because my mom said da 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 da, and then I'll talk to the parent, and the parent was like, wow, I said that like 3 months ago. I didn't even know that they were listening.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
All righty, perfect. Okay, Miss Marianne, do you have any questions for me today? Unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi again. My question is, I have a teenager, 15-year-old and 11-year-old who thinks he's 15, thinks he's 18. He thinks he's the parent running the show, actually. So, his strategy is conquer and divide, which has been somewhat successful. And, we have some serious therapy going on, but I still like to jump in here, and I love the micromanager part that you brought up, because that's me. This kid wants it. The harder he pushes away, the more I want to reel him in, because he's like gone for hours, 3-4 hours, like out on bikes with bigger kids. My 11-year-old hanging out with teens. So it puts a lot of fear in my gut. So I feel like I'm in fight or flight all the time. And then I have significant other who's saying, relax, he's fine, which makes me like want to strangle him. So yeah, I guess the teen, yeah, I'll let you go.
I like your question, because it's one of the hardest things to manage as a parent in the adolescent age group. Your 11-year-old is, when we talk about developmental markers, we give ages, but some kids talked at 2, when, some kids talked at 18 months when they were supposed to talk at 24 months, right? So your 11-year-old is when he wakes up in the morning, right? Because 10 to 12-year-olds, they either wake up a kid, or they wake up an adolescent, right?
At noon.
Yeah, and then and some, when they're kids, we love them because it's easier. When they wake up adolescents and they're between 10 and 12, it's confusing, right? But know that they're trying on adolescence. That is the difficulty of the tween years. So, Lina, what do I do with my fight, flight, freeze, right? I love that you're bringing that up. I love that you're bringing up, hey, how do I handle me, right? And first and foremost, that's, I'm always going to bring you back to you, right? It's called Stop Parenting Alone, not I Fix Your Child, right? And
help.
Set up with your 11-year-old a nighttime thing, when he's calm, when he's gentle, and be honest with him, right? And say, you spent a lot of time with the big kids today. Just checking in. Anything weird, anything you want to ask me, any information. And the first 3 weeks,
0.
He's going to say 0. But he knows that every day, and you could even make a joke about it. Okay, here's my daily check-in. And know that if he can count on that daily check-in, when he needs it, he's going to use it.
Okay.
And the other piece that I would say is talk to your 15-year-old and tell him, hey, be conscious of your brother. Be conscious of what's, because if they're going out together, it's a conversation with your 15-year-old to say, what do you think is appropriate? Like, there's you guys are 4 years apart, like, and just have a conversation with that 15-year-old. But besides that, if you're the praying kind, pray and let it go and set the scaffolding. Okay.
Expectations. Yeah.
Expectations.
and consistency.
Right.
Yeah. We're always in like consequence mode.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
and we can't. It's much better to prevent and
Yeah.
set expectations, right? Because then the consequences is easy. Like we told you, if A happened, B will happen, right? But if we're making it up in our mind and we don't have a system and we don't have a prevention and we don't have an expectation, then the adolescent can't win. And again, whenever the adolescent can't win, most get a case of the efforts.
Yeah.
Might get in trouble anyway, so might as well skip.
That's
They're gonna be
creepy.
angry with me anyway, right? So it's really good and important. Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty, perfect. Okay, let's see. Let's keep going. Ms. Daisy, unmute yourself. If you have a question, go ahead and ask me. Hi.
Man, where do I begin? One, thank you. Thank you for doing this. You know, Marianne, you're not alone, by the way. Like, I have 3 boys, 15, 14, and 12. And yeah, I'm the one that thinks I need therapy for sure these days. No, I'm not even kidding. And it's everything you touched upon today is exactly, obviously, they're pain points for a reason, right? My biggest struggle is really the devices, the video games, and the technology, you know. And I'm almost at a point, and I think that's why I wanted some guidance. I love the expectations. I've been trying to do that. It's like, guys, let's set a plan. I'll present mine, Dad will present yours, and let's see if we reach a happy medium so we could listen to what they have to say. But I will tell you, I mean, from seeing what's happening in this world really currently, the fact that TikTok is the hottest thing and the way they're watching that is like seconds. You hear the bad word, you hear the crazy move, you hear the pow pow. I'm like, I'm about to go rogue and be like, you know what, let's just detox for June. You know, I know I'm going to get resistance on that, and I'm trying to have grace with them and compassion and understand, because I will tell you, I did that through the distance learning because they didn't have their friends. But now I think I'm being a sucker a little bit, you know. But as you say too, is I guess like, where am I with going out and meeting people? Like, where am I with the video aspect of our family and our rules and what's right?
Correct.
And I'm drowning a little, to be honest.
So a month off social media in this generation of kids is creating social pariahs, unfortunately. Okay. So, but a digital sabbatical from Saturday to Sunday, right? From Saturday at 12 to Sunday at 4, where you and parent number 2 also goes into a sabbatical, so that you model it, so that your adolescent doesn't call you a hypocrite, because there's nothing like an adolescent to call you a hypocrite. Like, they will call you on your hypocrisy. They will call you out on your hypocrisy in 10 seconds. I mean, that's like reason 1000 why I like hanging out with teens, because they keep me in check and in integrity, right? So I would say that I'd rather you give them a sabbatical. I'd rather you say, all right, guys, we're going to turn off the Wi-Fi from this time to this time, right? So right now we're going to do it old school. Turn in your phones, right? And then, because it's really hard to be off the TikTok. Now with TikTok and in your age groups, you know, everybody, the only one that shouldn't be on any of the social media is a 12-year-old, because all social platforms recommend 13, right? 13.
You know, he doesn't even have a phone right now, and I learned from my others.
Right? For that, right? So, but social platforms say 13. And the best way is to say, all right, guys, you are a beautiful, talkative, you know, mama, right? So at the dinner table, you're like, oh my God, I heard like 185, you know, bad words on your TikTok. Like, Jesus Louise. But tell me, why was it interesting? because you have a boy, right? Well, you know, what is it? Were you looking at the challenge? Were you looking at the people? Well, it seems so interesting that you're looking at something, but you're being mindless about it. So let's talk about being mindless and then just go into a lecture. But use the social media, use the popular culture to have conversations. And a conversation is, that's okay too, right? And then your one talkative kid is gonna like defend. But it's not about avoiding the exposure to drugs and bad words, and it's more about helping them manage it. And let's go back to the beautiful thing that you just brought up, right? Which is, where am I in my values in what popular culture puts out today? Me, and my co-parent, you know, the person that I parent with, where are we, right? And here's reason 385 why it's so difficult to raise teens. If you're doing it well, you can be in a range and you may be, you know, a 10 or over on this side where, you know, you're a little more conservative, but your child may choose to be a 4, right? And ouch, right? Oh, like I want to throw up in my mouth, right? As this is coming out of me, right? And we have to then understand, how did you get to the 4, buddy? But not change them.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I feel that I enjoy music. I love dancing. And so I actually, in the quarantine, I entered the quarantine TikTok fanat, like so much fun. In fact, I was super mad at them that they wouldn't do it with me. Like I got in the craze. I thought it was hilarious, fun, and what a beautiful creative platform. Until I dived in and I see like there's no filter. You know what I mean? Like they're just getting stuff. And there's stuff there that, and I'll tell you, I always look at the silver lining, you know this, and for everyone that is listening, is what's happening in the world today with the protest part, the peaceful part, you know, is it's brought this beautiful conversation, right? And I'm like, pop culture, and I don't know why the news isn't covering that, or even the people who are being peaceful. They're the first ones that are advocating those words. Like, you can't put on a song that doesn't have the N word. It's crazy. You know, and that's what I was telling them. And they're like, Mom, but it's everywhere. And I'm like, but it's not in our house. It's not acceptable. It's a kick in my stomach.
Yeah.
Erase it from your vocabulary. Just that doesn't exist in our life. Period. And when your friends say it, you say, guys, don't say that. Like, so right now I'm actually jumping on the sensitivity of the movement, you know?
Beautiful. Go. So again, you know, help them manage, not
so if he's at a 4, I'm trying to bring him back to a 6.
So again, manage the scenario rather than avoid the scenario. You know, I'll give you the worst case scenario. I always want a kid to be able to go to the party and somebody saying, hey, you want a Molly? And they're like, no, I'm cool. Right? And it's talking to them to getting them there. And again, back to, for a lot of you, you're not going to get a circle of talk, but what I'm hearing you do, Daisy, is awesome. The only little thing where I'd be like, a whole month of no social media, wouldn't do that. But a family, you know, like again, I'll share what, you know, for me, most of the time at 12 on Saturday, I turn it off, and at 4 o'clock on Sunday, I turn it back on. For me, and my kids watch me do that. My kids are not so much into the social piece because they're very shy. They're not like their mother. So
I have one like that, and that's a whole other story, though.
Right.
See,
but that's a personality.
Make an appointment with you for that one. Like, I'm encouraging him. Like, I'm like, wow,
but again,
he's been like so happy in quarantine.
Yes, but trust the personality style. Trust the personality style. So, you know, social media is more for the extrovert and the introvert, and the one that's a little more observant and quiet. They're just lurkers. They pay attention and they crack up about it. But Yay!
Thank you.
Good question, and it resonated with people because the chat went on fire. So okay, unmute yourself. Hello, hello. Do you have a question for me today? No? Hello? I only see iPhone. So okay, perfect.
I have a question.
Hi, yes, go for it.
Okay. By the way, you are awesome. And I have a 13 and 15-year-old, and they both kind of have the quiet personality, especially my 15-year-old. And what's the best way to engage? For example, like he's not very social. He just has like his selected group of friends. And for example, he goes to sleepover or whatever. When I pick him up, I want to chat to him about it, like how was it, who was there, what do you guys do, and he always kind of gets like annoyed, like it's like, why do you ask so many questions, why do you need to know that, like, I know there's gotta be a way in order for engage better. I don't know how to even say it, but it's just like he seems to, and it's starting to become like also a pattern with my 13-year-old, that they just they don't like to being asked, like when they go out with their friends, and they're good kids, I mean, not because they are my boys, but they are good kids. They wouldn't do like what I think like crazy things. And I know what the families that they go to, their friends and stuff like that, but I feel like when I want to know something, they get like annoyed. So what would be your recommendation, like the best way to engage with them instead of like ask so many questions at the point that they get very annoyed?
Right. So you answered your own question. You answered so you asked 2 questions and then you let it go. Okay. And I'll give you the same response that I gave Marianne. Be predictable about the question, right? So, because be very, very mindful that their social group, and you've already done half of it correct. You know the family, you know that you agree with the values of this family that your children are hanging out with, and I'm assuming that sometimes you're the home as well, right? So when your child are not very communicative, at least once or twice a month, be the house where the friends come, because then you get to witness it. Then you get to see it, right? So one way out to like seeing them socially is to be the house. That's 1. 2, when you pick them up, be funny about it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna give you 3 questions, and then be specific. Also, was Charlie there today? Were you guys able to play tennis? Like, because you know that your son plays tennis with Charlie. I'm just making up an example, but be specific. Was it fun? Who was there? Why, Lina? Why are they not answering me? Because in that moment, they are protecting. They think that they experience it as you prying, and they're defending the possibility that you will get upset about what they did and that you will cancel the pleasure. That's just because adolescents, they get reactive. They get emotionally reactive neurologically. So those questions seem like judgment and a possibility of the loss of their time with friends, right? What do I have to share? Like the ones that are more outgoing will actually tell you, why are you asking me? What, you're not gonna let me hang out with them anymore? Like the one that's more talkative will say that. The one that is more observant and more quiet, they're thinking it only because their brain is reactive, protecting them. And it's something that gets really, really high between 12 and 17. It's for 12 to 16, where they're defensive and careful about what they share with authority. So something else that you can say is, hey, I'm not, because what they're experiencing that as you evaluating whether or not they did the right thing. So you can say, I know that you did the right thing because I love the family, just like you told me right now. I'm just really curious. Can you tell me one fun thing that you guys did together that you feel comfortable telling me? And then your kid will be like, oh my God, and then make it funny. I'm always gonna ask you for the one fun thing, but then stay out of it. And that's, reason 586, right? Because first, I had one parent and we were dealing with a case, and the mom had a very, very hard time because her child's best friends was very talkative and would say tons of things to the other parent, to the best friend's parent, and then the best friend's parent would call the parent that I was working with of the adolescent, and I had to tell the parent that I was working with, please let that other parent know that you can't hear what your child doesn't want you to hear. And that was really hard for my parent, because they were getting intel, right? They were getting like background intel. But it is important to accept what your kids are willing to share with you. So to answer your question directly, Lina, how do I ask this question? Let them know I'm only asking this question not to assess whether you're going to be with your friends. See, no porque estoy viendo a ver si hiciste algo bien o mal. So be clear on that. And then say, okay, just tell me one thing that you did that was fun and one thing that you did that was funny. And then be done with it. 3 questions. And that's it.
Okay.
Okay. And again, be the house, invite their friends to you more than not, like right now, again, I told you guys that I'm risk adverse, so I haven't been the house, but, a lot of kids in my children's life get free therapy from me. And because be the house, and then you get to see it, right? And you already handled it beautifully, especially if you know those families, right? Like, make sure, and that's the other really important piece as it pertains to adolescents, that you have to know where they're at, and what, that's picking a school, picking the after school activity, picking the coaches. Know that these external sources have an influence on your kids. Okay? Yay!
Okay.
Thank you for the question. That's always a hard question. Okay, Miss Marianne, yes. Tell me. Unmute yourself.
Okay,
Go.
sorry, I'm at work, and so I had a customer, so I didn't hear some of that for a few minutes, of course. Lucky to have work. I have, my kids have friends that have access or actually own teenagers with a golf cart in the neighborhood. And yeah, that's what they do when they're out and about, right? No, it's horrible. And so what happened was they go to these garages, say Sunset Place or something, they go to the roof and they do donuts. And it turns out that one of the boys was riding down the ramp, and he was speeding, when it's at a slope, and he did a flip at the end. He turned it real quick, and the thing flipped over. One of the boys had their leg caught underneath. They didn't call parents or 911. They all just handled it themselves. They got the kid out. Anyway, how do you what do you do? I mean, luckily they didn't call. They don't call for help. And I said, listen, you have to be able to call me when these things happen.
Right. Okay. I have a little vlog on my website about this exact thing, right? So a
natural consequence.
Right, like, so the question that you're asking is like, damn it, why do they only ask for help when their head's on fire? Ina, damn it, why is
no,
it
they didn't. They don't even do that.
No, okay, but their head, let's see.
I found out about it later.
This is why everybody, if you're spiritual, light your candles, burn your sage, say your prayers, because you're going to hate me for this. And this is why I don't talk to parents of teens so often. Ready? You're going to hate me for this. They're supposed to be problem solving. One of the biggest social emotional markers for this age group in particular, especially 15 to 24, is to problem solve for themselves. And that is the number one reason why nobody got a call that day, besides not getting in trouble, right? And two, why they only come to you when their head's on fire, when they can't figure out how to solve the problem. And that's why we have to, the adolescent years are so hard, because that's part of the rule of letting go. What do you do when you find out later? You say, holy moly, which parts of this situation did you feel safe in and did you feel unsafe in? Not why didn't you tell me?
Right.
Because why didn't they tell you? Because they were problem solving. They were like, holy bejesus, we're gonna get into so much trouble. Are you okay? Are you okay? And they figured, and like, we also have to,
Not judge.
let them know, okay, I heard about this, it scared the living daylights out of me, but help me, what did you learn from it? What will you do next time? What do you imagine, right? And there, like, I'll share another personal story today, because I'm finally in your age group, people. I've been talking to parents about this age group forever, and I was like, yeah, just learn to let them go and just grieve the loss and be the lighthouse. And now I'm in it, and I'm like,
Do I have communication with the other parents though, or just like not be?
no, it's
like a tattletale, like the mother.
Especially if they handled it right. Like, now talking to another parent about a dangerous decision is, you have to think about, again, back
Well,
to
like the owner of the golf cart,
right. So you have to
that's
be
a lawsuit.
you have to be in the where are you in the range, right? And like, what does the other parent need to know? And the other parent needs to know, hey, yeah, that's a lack of safety one, right? But also let them know, hey, I speak to this developmental person, and she said it's not time to get them in trouble, just to wonder with them, hey, when were you telling me the truth? And why didn't you, right? But back to this idea, hold on, I'm going to mute you for a minute. Back to this idea of they come to you when their head's on fire, and that's what they're supposed to do, because they're learning to problem solve, because they're learning how to be an adult. And I was going to share a personal story, like, my kids were out bike riding together yesterday, and they were like, oh, we biked 4 miles, and and I went, whatever, and I was like, okay, great, la la la, and later I told my husband, I was like, yeah, they probably stopped by Sam's house, right? And my husband was like, our kids? Never. And I'm like, but I don't need to investigate that. If they've chosen to lie to me, they get to live with it. And here's something that I always tell my children. I say to them, look, you can lie to me and I will never know. It's up to you. It's up to you if you want to live with that, because we are an honest family and we are a family of integrity. So that's a hard one. That's a hard one. And now that I'm in it, now that I, because the scary thing about adolescents is that their decisions are sometimes can be very dangerous. But again, when you find out about something dangerous that happened, you find out that they all problem solved in their own little way, you go up to them and you say, hey, I heard about the golf cart. No, but slow down. It's okay. Walk me through your thought process, because I want to hear about your problem solving for that day. You're not in trouble. But I do have to tell the parent and let them know I am going to call Roger's parent, but walk me through your problem solving. And then remember, they're problem solving, they're problem solving, they're problem solving, they're problem solving. And they need to learn to do that. And that is the reason why they only call you or ask you questions when the head is on fire. Because just like your toddler I do it when they wanted to put on their shoes by themselves. Do you remember how cute they were? I know, they were so cute when they just wanted to put on shoes by themselves, right? Now they're problem solving with dangerous themes. And this is such a sage burning, velita burning, praying, letting go time for us as parents. And I, you know, again, but that's the appropriate thing. All right, guys, we are done for today. Today was the last of my free Zooms Q&A, and I have a little person in my ear telling me to keep doing them. So, you know, so she's like, you know, my little friend is like, Lina is so valuable. Oh my God. So I'm thinking that I'm going to keep doing them. I am going to send a survey out to just kind of get some feedback from everybody, and about if they lie and they get caught, shouldn't there be a consequence if you have a no lie? Yes, of course. There's always a when you find out, but you do the consequence at the end. Like, hey, help me, walk me through how you problem solve this, and name it that way. But remember, we're an honest family, so you know, you and Roger are not going to see each other for at least 2 weeks. Cool. I have no issue with that, right? Like if I find out that, you know, if it, you know, I'm not going to investigate, but if it drops from the sky that, you know, Sam's mom lets me know, hey, it was so nice that your daughter stopped by yesterday on her bike, I'm going to be like, you know, but I'm not going to investigate it, right? There's no need. I'm going to send out a survey. Please look out for it on your email. If you're not on my email list, please give me your email now, so that I can get your feedback. I'm just trying to figure out what's a good time and all that kind of stuff. For me, this time is perfect. I feel like it's a lunchtime one, but I know that I may need to do, but I only want to do one. So, but I'm going to keep them up. I like them. I like them. All right. Okay, everybody. Sorry, my phone is going off. So until next time, look out for it. Hugs and kisses. And unmute yourself and tell me you love me so we can end it, and I can end it in a high spirit.
Love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That really helped. That I'm
All right,
not
guys.
alone.
And keep up the good work raising these beautiful citizens of the world. All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.